And hello, good people of the internet. This is Tommy Kelly, and this is, of course, the Tommy Kelly podcast. And in this episode, it's that time of the month again where we do some question and answering stuff. We have a few questions come in from patrons and from people on the Facebook forum, the 47th Facebook forum. So we'll get to them in a bit. Now, it is also that time of the year which is coming up to Halloween, which is my favourite time of the year. And it's great because you can go into all the shops and get all the Halloween stuff and then leave it up in your house all year as proper decorations, not just holiday decorations. I was on TK Maxx, other shops are available recently, and I got two class, as we would say in Ireland, class, that's class, meaning very good, skulls, really well made, good substance to them, good heaviness and all that kind of thing. And one in particular has a kind of a lid on it. And it's really, my idea for it is to burn stuff in it. And I seen something recently in some sort of TV show. What was it? It wasn't a TV show. It was actually in BPRD, where one of the guys, to do a summoning, burns a sigil in a skull, or in a kind of a box or skull, or something that was very similar. And I was going, that's weird. I'm just after getting one of them. And that's exactly what my intention was. So it's kind of like it has holes in it, so it will burn, the oxygen will get in. So I'm thinking of burning sigils or putting something into it. I haven't used it yet, but that's kind of my intention. It's just sitting on my altar behind me now. And then I got a kind of a meditating yoga skull skeleton type thing, which is quite cool, that we'll put in the yoga come weights room. I'm also hoping beyond hope, to be moving my office to an upstairs, a bigger upstairs room from what I have at the minute. The reason being is that it's getting very noisy in this office, and I have less and less time now to record stuff and do videos and stuff like that. And if I go upstairs, it'll be at the back of the house, away from the noise. The general noise here is that there's a preschool attached to this house. Well, not attached, it's just off, in the house. It's to a couple of the rooms in the house. And there's way more kids this year than there was in previous years, and also, there's an extra kid in the house too, being my own, and Vanessa is home all the time now as well. So if I can move to the upstairs one, then I should be able to have less noise and be able to record and do all those things. But we just have to work out stuff, because when the stuff that's in it now is where I do my meditation, where we do yoga, and where I have all my weights, with my weight bench and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of trying to work out, can we move all that stuff to some sort of shed or something like that? So we're looking into that kind of things, because I don't really want to go to the expense of doing an outdoor office type thing, because that's fairly expensive to put together. Whereas you could, if you just had your your exercise stuff in it, at least you won't have to worry too much about heat and soundproofing and all that kind of stuff that you would if it was your office thing, because you're just going there to work out. The kind of downside of that is, will you use it then? It gives you an extra excuse of not doing it. At least when it's in the house, you just go into the room. But I have to measure all that out, so I have to decide whether I'm going to do that, put all that stuff out, or measure it up and have it, can I still have most of the weights and stuff and the office in it and that kind of thing. So that's one of the projects I'm working on. But that's sort of mid-term project. It is, of course, 2 weeks away from Halloween or so, 16 days as I record this, and that is the birthday of the 47th, so we will be doing some stuff around that, which I will talk a bit about in the actual main part of this podcast itself. I'm also going to be doing, updating my to-do list. This is my to-do list, so you can listen to me get sort of my work life out. I want to do some new artwork for the website, for adventureswoo.com, and for the podcast, because I just think it can be a bit better than what it is, and also possibly I just might be a wee bit bored of it. I have done a few bits on the website at the minute. I got rid of those for big cards that were kind of messing with the mobile version of the site, and just slowly getting stuff behind the scenes. I'm very close to catching up on being on target for all the work stuff I want to do, which is great. But I'm also going to be doing this thing, I'm kind of jumping about here, for Halloween, where I'm going to do some new artwork of a servant and release that as a print. So it won't be like what I did before with the witch print, which was an A3 version of the card itself. I did rework it slightly just to make it look good on a bigger size. But this will be a whole new drawing a whole new thing, so I put up in the Facebook and over on Patreon, people to vote in on what one they want me to do. I know my preference is on which ones I want, but I'll not say it just to not sway any voting. But it's that's going to be fun to do, and I'll just release that as a print, and it'll only be available as this this time. And I might, if it's seeing how well that goes, I might do other stuff like that again. The actual witch print itself just kind of sold about half of what I did. I limited it to 40, and there's about 20 sold, maybe a bit more, possibly a bit less. I don't know, I can't remember, but it's in around half. And so that was a bit of an expense to get them printed up and all that. Not a huge expense, like it didn't bankrupt me or anything. But it's, again, this is, it's. I have to think of like what am I going to do with this one? Is it going to be 40 again? Maybe I should do it less. Maybe I should do 10, 20, make it like proper limited. But I do like the idea of 40, being that it's the 40 servants and all that. So look out for all that kind of stuff on the website and in the Facebook group. Almon's going to be posting some more art stuff on Adventures Movie, trying to split that, not split it, but kind of going to set up a menu where it's just going to be Chaos Magic art, rather than that kind of mess of a menu system I have at the minute. So you hit Chaos Magic, you just get the Chaos Magic stuff, and you hit the art, you get the photography, the comics, all that kind of stuff. Tomorrow, as I record this, which is 2 days ago from general release, or possibly a year ago, depending on when you're actually listening to this, I'm putting up some of my old comics on the website. Stuff that probably didn't get the light of day so much, or hasn't been shown since I took down my main comic site, whatever it was, 3 or 4 years ago. And the one I'm putting up this week is Zara Rogers, which is kind of a comic where I was trying to get the whole, like newspaper strips, the old ones, not the funnies in the sense, not the comedy ones, but old stuff like Carol Day was really good. It's amazing art and stuff like that. So it's kind of the old, newspaper 3-panel kind of stuff. The one that hold on as I look around, it's Secret Agent Corrigan was another one that I really love, and there's some great I have some lovely hardbacks of that as well, where it's the 3-panel, where the first panel recaps what happened yesterday, the second panel extends the story, pushes it forward, and then the third panel is some sort of cliffhanger or whatever. So I really like that kind of thing. I didn't do an awful lot of these. There's about 13 of them, I think, and it was an awful lot of work. It was like a real, because I did them all on actual paper, huge big sizes, like the print size is like whatever it was, maybe 2 inches by 4 inches of that, but it was done in like whatever, bigger than A3, half of an A3, but not A4. I know how, but like lengthways, kind of rectangular way. And it was all done in pen and ink and brush and Indian ink and all that. So it was good. It's from 2013. So check that out if that's something that's interests you. I will be putting up more art and stuff on the blog. But for now, let's get into the Q&A section of the podcast, which is, it's mostly magic. There's no art stuff in this one. So let's get to that. Again, as always, this is going to start with an apology for the complete disaster that will be your names and how I pronounce them. The first one is easy because I can't remember your name. This was written in in the Brazilian form. I think it could have been the Spanish one. Pretty sure it was the Brazilian form. It comes up a lot anyway. And I was looking for the thread today. I said I would mention it in the next podcast, and I couldn't find it. So I hope you find this answer to your question at some point. So it was basically, the question was, what's the story with banishing, and in relation to the 40 servants, and I suspect banishing in general, which is, well, might maybe not be what he was asking, but it's the direction we're going in. So basically, my thoughts on banishing is that I don't really do it that often. I don't put an awful lot of emphasis on it in my own work. Possibly because the vast majority of my magic that I do is ongoing and isn't kind of stop-start and specific, like I'm doing a ritual right now for this thing I want to happen, this one thing. It's kind of, I've talked about before, ongoing stuff. I very seldom, if ever, will do a ritual, for a specific thing. If I'm going to do something like that, I'll do a sigil, and I'm not going to be doing banishing before and after sigils and all of that type of thing. Basically, if you don't know what banishing is, I suppose I should start with that. It's the idea is that you remove all the unwanted influences from an area before you start working, and then at the end you banish to get rid of all of the unwanted energies, or to get rid of the entity that you've called if you've done an evocation or an invocation even. The way I look at it is, and kind of the way I would approach it is that if you're going to be evoking or working with some entity or some idea or some archetype or whatever, treat your house and your area and all that and yourself as you would if someone in real life was coming to your house. So if your house is a mess, clean it. If your room is a mess, clean it. In the same way that if someone was coming over who you were trying to impress and trying to get off with sexually, in some like a girlfriend, boyfriend, non-gendered friend, clean up. Wash yourself. Make sure you don't smell. Don't wear crappy clothes, or put in the effort that you would if someone was coming to your house or coming into your room. So if you're have the respect to do that in a sense, or so that if you're calling up, who are you calling up? You're calling up the monk from the 47s for some reason. But don't have it, your room bins full in the room, your coffee cups all over the place, full ashtrays if you smoke, or just general mess. If there's a smell, if you haven't opened a window in 3 weeks, if there's clothes all over the floor, or whatever it is. Clean all that up before you do the working. Clean yourself up. If you've been out for a run, or you've just been sitting around all day and all that, go have a wash, go put on some clean clothes. Don't put on a suit, or you don't have to put on robes or whatever. But I understand the thing of robes is probably to separate your everyday, your everyday kind of clothes, and then have a thing for magic, in the same way that you put on a suit if you work in an office or whatever, that kind of thing, that you're separating who you are in a sense from by the clothes you're wearing. So if I'm doing stuff, I will make sure the room's clean. I'll give it a bit of a hoover and make sure I'm clean. I'll if I'm working with the altar or whatever, I'll clean the altar, and I'll do all that kind of thing. Just kind of have in your head that if someone was coming in to view your house, say, in the hope of you were trying to sell the house or rent out a room or something, that it would be that kind of presentable thing. That's why I see pre-banishing. People seem to get very scared about this. I'm probably not as scared about magic as I should be. I suspect. Maybe, I don't know. I've never been burned in the way some people have been, or it's never come back at me, or gone. What's the word I'm looking for? It's never gone too wrong for me in that I have, I'm super careful there. But some people get really nervous about the whole thing and banish whatever, and they think their house is going to get haunted, and there's going to be stuff all around. And I don't know, that I've nothing close to that has ever happened to me. Now, if that is a concern of yours, then go on it, go with that. The most activating principle here is yourself. So if you feel the need to do it, then do it. Don't kind of go, if you feel it's fine and all that kind of thing, and you're kind of putting a bit of effort into whatever, I would say it's fine. But if you feel the need to banish, then you probably should banish. The thing then is the banishing after your ritual and stuff like that. And there's a good argument to be made that it's quite rude to banish whatever you've called up. There's that kind of thing that you let them go. You say, and now this is where you leave, and that should be enough. But then if you're banishing them, it's kind of like, again, equivalent of someone coming to your house, visitor coming to your house, and as soon as they leave, you start cleaning the chair they were sitting on. You start bleaching it down, or hoovering around it, or smudging around it, whatever. And imagine they looked in the window or called back and seen that you had done that, or had in some way become aware of it, or that they were sitting there and you had invited someone around for dinner and you're talking. As soon as they finish dinner, you start pushing them out the door. You start get out. What I wanted you here, get out. Your usefulness is over. So I don't like it from a kind of, it seems rude. All depends on what kind of energies you're working with, I suppose. If you're working with some dangerous energies, then you should banish after it. I personally don't, because why would I? There's plenty of powerful stuff that you can do that doesn't involve hanging out with, dodgy people. But if that's if that's what you're into or that's what your needs are, then go with your own gut in it. Have a think. Is this the type of person that I want lingering about my house? Then do a banishing. If it's the type of person that you don't want lingering around your house, I would say don't walk with them, or walk with it or whatever. If it's not someone you want to invite in your house that you feel so much that you have to, banish afterwards, I'd be thinking maybe, that's probably not the finest person to invite into your house or into your space. So I'm not big into it. I do smudging a lot, and I do kind of if I am doing a banishing, I will do a very brief or was it Estabibelio, that one. Shows how long it is since I have done it that I can't actually remember. Hecus Estabibelio, that's it. And it means away all things profane. And you kind of do it just by sweeping your hand away as if you're actually putting the stuff around, pushing away the stuff around you and all that kind of thing. It originally comes from the Golden Dawn, I think. I'm pretty certain. I learned it from Jason Miller originally, but it's not Jason Miller's thing either. Like there's loads of... It's well-known kind of thing. So it's Hecus Estabibelio. Hekas Estebebeloi. Far away be the profane, or away all things profane. And I like that. That works for me. It's very simple. It's kind of done, and if I need it. If I do need to banish, and if I think more in terms of clearing than banishing. So it's like clearing out an area, cleaning the room, letting new air into the room, letting the flow, as I talked last week about the flow, man, energy flow. That's more what I would think of clearing. It would be more of a thing I would do than banishing. Clearing out an area, clearing out my life, clearing out my head, clearing out the room, clearing out the clutter. But there's plenty of things, like if you want to get into banishing, that you can do. Like there's the whole thing of loads of people get into the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. The actual ritual is the lesser ritual of the pentagram, but the banishing version of it has become like the de facto kind of ritual that you do out of it. Because there is an invoking version, which is just you do the both done with the earth pentagrams. One's the banishing, which is the banishing ritual, and then you can do the invoking one. Basically, you do the pentagram, or you draw the pentagram in the opposite way. Think about the I did the lesser banishing ritual pentagram for a long while, every day for a long while, and I didn't enjoy it. It's kind of things what it did. I was doing it because it was part of the Donald Michael Craig's book, Modern Magic. That he says to do it every day, so I was doing it every day. Things I got from it, and this is common enough kind of feedback I heard. Not everyone. So it's not it's not guaranteed, or it's not most people, but it's reported enough that it's worth considering. That kind of everything went away, the good stuff, the bad stuff, in kind of a chemotherapy type way, that it just destroys, it clears everything. And then I suspect then the idea is then that you replace it with the good stuff, whatever. So be aware of that banishing, you're banishing everything. And you then have to replace it with other stuff. The void that's left behind it, make sure you're replacing it with good stuff and all that kind of stuff. So everyday banishing, unless, if you're going through, like say you went through a massive breakup, or, some really dark days and stuff like that probably is a good idea to do a lot of banishing, daily banishing, until you get rid of it. But as an ongoing thing where you're just doing it every day, not for me. That's the best way I can say. I don't like the effect it has. It gets rid of everything. Now, the thing is, maybe at the time when I was doing that, I needed a proper chemotherapy blast at getting rid of everything. But what started happening is I was teaching guitar at the time and teaching music, and I'd start losing clients pretty quickly. Like noticeably, that it was like, say, I can't remember what it was, say I had 10 a week, and I was doing the thing every, 10 consistent that I had for, like, say, the last 6 months. Can't remember the figures, but this is, we'll go with this. So the same 10 students for the last 6 months. I started doing the last banishing ritual of the pentagram every day, and within 2 weeks, I had lost, like, 7 of them. Things like that. So it was like, no, the thing is, in the end, I disliked immensely teaching music at that point, because I'd been doing it too long, and I found it very frustrating. So maybe, although financially it was terrible for me at the time, because I really relied on that money, big time, and it was like a disaster when they left or whatever. long term, glad I'm not teaching guitar anymore, or teaching music as it was at the time. I'm glad that part's over. So, buyer beware. So if that's something that, it's not just, if you're going to do banishing every day, expect things to disappear and things to change and move around or whatever. And it's kind of, I suppose, going back to that thing where I talked before about throwing in the chaos, the chaos magic hand grenade. Banishing every day is probably because it will have a similar effect where you're going to, shake up things. There is the other thing that people suggest, that as soon as you start doing stuff like the less banishing of the ritual, you will start getting noticed, and that it lights you up on the astral plane. And it can have a kind of opposite effect, that if entities, ideas, archetypes, spirits, servitors, whatever these things are, will start noticing you because you've started doing stuff that they can see. So again, it's an idea worth considering. I'm not sure how I feel about it myself, but I can understand why people think it. And if you're doing stuff in imagination, in the imaginal, in idea space, as Alan Moore's idea space, this whole thing, then I can understand that maybe you do start lighting up yourself in it. But I don't know. Is a banishing ritual going to attract more things? Up for you to decide. Try it and see what you think. There's plenty of other ones if you don't like the last banishing ritual of the Pentagram. People don't like it because of the god names, and if you come from a Christian background and you hate Christianity, which so many people do in the occult, that's because they're looking for something to get away from that. There's plenty of other options of it. There's the names of God, are fairly Christian in the lesser banishing ritual of Pentagram. There's the Star Ruby, which is Aleister Crowley's version of it, which I did for a long while, and I much prefer than the lesser banishing of the ritual. Lesser banishing ritual of the Pentagram. Oh my god. So check that one out. That's pretty good. It's Greek, and there's some good stuff of it on. If you go to the Magic Primer on Adventures in Woo Woo, there's all of these links. I'm kind of just going through this list this page as I talk to you. I did my own Pentagram Ritual, which is the Roman Pentagram Ritual. I did it about 3 times in my life, but some people really like it, so you can check that out. It uses Roman god names. The other thing is you have your smudging, which is basically burning some sort of herb or incense, whatever, to clear out the room or whatever. Santo Palo is my favourite, although white sage is probably the most well-known, most things. So, yeah, the long and short of it, that's pretty long answer to the question on banishing before and after 47th. Banishing with the 47th, I wouldn't. Why would you? They're your friends, they're on your side, you want them around, you want that kind of energy around. The only time you might want to get rid of it is banishing specific things, like you want to banish the desperate, that energy out of your life. You want to remove certain energies. And so that would banishing and that kind of thing would work. But not, I want to work with the fortunate, so I'm going to banish. I'm going to say, hello, the fortunate, can you give me some money? And then banish again. I wouldn't do it in that kind of traditional sense of what you do of the traditional banish, call up the demon, banish when you've talked to the demon. But use it as target as a part of your magic. If it's a banishing magic, do banishing. If it's healing magic, you could possibly do banishing as well. Banish the disease, that kind of thing. But if you're into kind of I wouldn't ever do banishing with money magic, although you could make an argument that you can banish poverty, but you're as well to increase stuff rather than banish stuff, I would say, always. So if you're going to work with the fortune, is a good one. If you're going to work with the fortune, I wouldn't do banishing, but use your own kind of thing. Like the whole point of all of this, in my opinion, is that your gut is the best barometer of the answer to these questions. If banishing seems wholly appropriate to you and something you want to do, then it is wholly appropriate to you and something you should do. If it's not something you're into, try doing it, not doing banishing, and see what results you're getting. And then if you go, oh, well, I really need to be banishing because this kind of stuff is happening, then start doing banishing. So even if you don't feel it, see what feedback you get and see what's happening, and then adjust your magic to that. If you don't do banishing, don't feel it, and nothing untoward happens or nothing bad, then don't do it. It's don't feel you have to do these things. They're tools, not rules. So I hope in some way, Mr. Brazilian foreman, you hear this and that answers your question. So the next one is from Jason Ponser. Ponser? Let's go with that. Since chaos encourages experimentation, what improvised tools have you found yourself making and using? Well, I suppose the obvious one is that I made 47s and 4 devils, but I don't really use the 4 devils that much. I use 47s a lot more. Not sure why I don't use the 4 devils. Um, I don't know. I've Robbie asked me recently about the 4 devils, and I sort of said I don't really use them. I'm not really drawn to them in that kind of way. I suspect it's something I will come to at some point, but it's just not. It's like a lot of the 47s I don't use equally. It's just not something that's right now I'm gravitating towards, rather than I think they're a bad idea or whatever. And again, it's improvised tools. I'm not really a tooly type person. Physical things. I'm not. I'm more a trying to change my consciousness type person. For me, magic works, or magic is about changing consciousness, which is then reflected in the bigger consciousness of the world. Again, of an idealism or idealistic outlook on the world, where we're all situated. All of this is happening within a field of consciousness, rather than a physical being having a conscious expression, into a spiritual thing. I don't think there is a physical thing. Of course there's a physical thing, because here I am as a physical thing. I like a bit, but I think that's just, it's like a thought, it's an idea, rather than there was a physical thing that has a spiritual aspect to it. I think we have a consciousness that thinks it's physical, rather than a physical thing that has a consciousness. So I'm then the tools I use. Sigils are tools I use. Prayers are tools I use. Mantras, meditation, that kind of stuff. Sometimes I use oils and stuff like that I made. I have Van oil that I made on my shelf, but I don't really use it. So not like, is that what you mean? I suspect by tools in a kind of a hoodoo sense or a Wiccan sense of using physical tools. I don't really use them. I will do stuff that try to change my mind, or how I view things, that kind of stuff. And so another tool would be vision boards, or I will do like Pinterest boards full of stuff I want to manifest or change about myself. Like, say I'm trying to become, or develop some sort of quality in myself. I will get a folder of images or of people that represent that quality, and try to get the feel of that, and then invoke that feeling, or in the kind of NLP sense of why can I never think of these words? Where you just you take on those aspects of the of these other people. There is a word for it, I can't remember it offhand, but it's like so you're trying to wear the clothes of these things and put them on, and you view the world from that kind of perspective or whatever. So that kind of tools. Incense is a tool, candles are a tool, and that's about it. I don't really tools. Improvisation, I do things. I've left sigils on roads, on bridges. I've left them at offerings with money on them, and things like that. So I kind of change it up a bit, but not really. Don't make tools other than the 47s and the 4 devils. Beth Wells, didn't you create a sort of time capsule wish box about a year ago for a bunch of us? Are you going to do a review, conclusion type thing for that? Yes, that was when I basically got everyone to put in a wish, and I put it into the box that the 47s are housed in, and hopefully it all comes out. So I'm not really going to do a kind of conclusion, because the conclusion will be, did you get what you want? And there was hundreds of people did it, so I'm not going to read it out what everyone, because it was anonymous for everyone if they wanted it to be. So the conclusion is, did you get what you want? I got what I wanted, mostly, and the things that I didn't get the full or on the way. There's so much in place that it's going to happen. It's unquestionably going to happen. I will be doing it again this year, and I will remove last year's one, probably burn that thing and enter a new one. Now here's the thing. Lessons learned from last year. So many people heard about it that weren't working with the 47s, weren't kind of part of the group, came in, sent me their message, and then buggered off and away, and had no interest in the whole thing. And to avoid that, I'm not going to be, unless you're a patron, I'm not going to put your thing in the actual box. Now, before you boo at me, it was ridiculous, and there's 1,500 more people in the group than there was this time last year. So I just don't have the time or the will to put in hundreds and hundreds of people's requests. So what I'm going to do is I'll be doing a post on how you can make your own time capsule or your own manifesting box and put it away for a year and do exactly the same thing with the 47s. And then if you're a patron, then I'll stick your stuff in the box here that's on my altar, the actual box that houses the original 47s that I used to charge the whole thing or whatever. So it's not as if you're losing out by getting it in the box. It's kind of cooler to get it in the box, I suppose. But you're the agency of your own magic, so doing your own thing will be as powerful, if not more powerful. And it'll also save down on the massive headache that it became in the end last year or whatever. I think it's worthwhile and worth doing, but lessons learned from last year. But so that'll be, check out the forum and the website in the next week or so, and I'll be talking about that, how to do your own version of it, which is, I think is a better, to get people to do their own magic rather than wishing or relying on me. And then patrons will do it as we did last year. So that answers your question. Terry Eldridge, how difficult was it to get 47s printed, shipped, etc.? Not difficult at all remotely. I had done another tarot deck, or it was a gypsy card deck for a friend of mine, Leah, previous to it. So while doing that project for her, we had done the research and how we were going to print it, and that's where I came across the Game Crafter and all of those things. Through that, so it was just a case of I already knew how to do it, how to, what the files we used, what size it had to be, all the formats, whatever. So, and they handle everything of it. So I don't print it, I don't ship it, I don't do anything. So I've designed it, did the artwork to their specifications, uploaded it, and they sort it all out. They have it all. They do it all. So it's, the answer to your question is how difficult it was. Not difficult. Ariana Bluey. I'm probably getting that wrong. I use the sun, balance or carnal combo for improved eating habits. I've lit candles in the morning and night for 3 days. Is it enough to do it now once a week for a continued supply? They have been very helpful. Standard answer from Tommy. Does it feel enough for you? To you? Do you feel like you should do more? Like, does it feel okay if I do it once a week? Does that feel right to you? Is that the kind of when you let that rest in your head and you just kind of settle there? Does that feel? Yeah, that feels right. Or is there a sense that's going? I'm not doing my full thing here. I should be doing more. There's something I'm not doing. That, because that's the thing that'll get you. That's why it won't work, in a sense, because you will have blocked it yourself, feeling that you didn't put in the correct amount of effort. So the first thing to ask, if you did it morning and night for 3 days, and now you want to do it for once a week, does that feel good and happy? And does that make you, check it against your heart? Does that feel good? Does that feel right? And if it does, great. That's what you have to do. If it doesn't, what feels right? What do you feel you have to do? What is the amount of effort that you feel is right and appropriate for what you're asking or want to improve on, and then go for that. So that would be my answer to you. The answer, if for me, ongoing stuff, I do ongoing. Depending on what it is, I have a daily thing, I have monthly things. If the weekly say thing isn't working, if I'm not getting it, I'll go back to daily. And if it's working all right, I don't need the energy as much, I'll go back to weekly or monthly or stuff like that. So, you don't have to set everything in stone or do anything like that. Again, try it weekly for a while, and then if you need more intense, like it's to do with improved eating habits. So if, you find in 3 months' time that you're slipping a bit more back, then go into a more intensive kind of work with them. I used the carnal an awful lot for, and originally when I was trying to lose all the weight at the beginning of last year, and for, feeling better about myself physically and all that stuff. And I do stuff with her still, but I will probably go into a more intense kind of thing with it again when I go back working on it now, when I get more time to get back into doing weights and yoga and all that once it settles down with the baby and stuff like that. So I kind of, again, see it always as an ongoing thing rather than specific stuff that you do right now for a thing that happens on Saturday or whatever. It's not just doing a ritual now to get the money to pay the rent or pay the mortgage or whatever it is this month. It's ongoing paying the mortgage magic. It's on, so it's not I don't, I want to lose weight this week, or I want to eat healthy this week, or whatever it is. Ongoing eat better magic is the way I approach it, rather than singular event type magic, if that makes sense. So that's the questions that came out today. Some of them were longer than others. Again, the banishing thing, I was thinking about it a lot. I probably didn't get to the places where I wanted to go because my brain doesn't work properly. And and again, thing, as I've said before, you kind of don't realise how scattered, well, I don't realise how scattered my brain is until I get to the point where I'm trying to actually talk about it, because I'll be thinking about these things over in my head and go, yeah, I can say that, and that'll lead to that, and that and that. And then when you actually get to it, it doesn't, and you miss out things, whatever. So if that doesn't answer your question so much about banishing, then go to the adventuresmuibu.com, go to blog, go to Magic Primer, and go to banishing. Unless I've already updated the website by the time you hear it, and it'll be under Chaos Magic somewhere, that Chaos Magic tab that I'm talking about, that I will be doing. And all of the stuff will be there that I talked about the different banishings, Let Banishing Ritual, Pentagram, Star Ruby, the Roman Ritual, smudging, all that kind of stuff, and a load of other, there's videos, and there's, related notes and links and all that things. There's a lot there on banishing. But again, as always, it'll be, what do you think about it? And then go with that first. Test it. Is that working? And then augment it, change, or continue if it's not, or if it is. So if you feel you need to banish, then do the banishing. Be aware of, is it being rude though? Are you doing it because out of guilt, or out of you think it's correct, or that's, traditional, or that kind of stuff. Which is fine if that's what it has, but again, think of it as if someone coming into your house, would you treat them in this way? If it's someone dodgy coming into your house, why are you asking them in the first place? All of those things that we talked about, I'll not go through it again. So, yeah. So that was another episode of the Tommy Kelly podcast. And if you like that sort of thing, then you can go to tommykellypodcast.com, and that'll bring you to all of the other episodes. We're over 70 episodes now, although I think it'll come up less than 70 episodes because I removed an episode for various reasons. There also, I was going through because I was trying to count. At some point I counted wrong or whatever, and there's a whole episode that I did that I don't think I ever released. And it was when we started the journey over on Patreon and stuff like that. And there's a whole hour-long episode, a 40-minute episode that doesn't seem to be anywhere. And I kind of will have to listen to it at some point, because maybe, there was a reason why I didn't post it, and I don't want to just randomly post it just without listening to it. So maybe, and I don't know how appropriate it is, not appropriate, how interesting it will be, but it might be. I'll have a listen to it and maybe put it in the feed at some point. Or maybe just put it up for patrons or something like that. So if you would like to help me, and I would really appreciate it if you do, please share this, like it, and all those type of things with people you think would be interested. The sharing thing really helps, really helps. Putting it in Facebook groups or on Twitter or any of these things really helps, and it really gets the word out. And you can always tell when the podcast or any of the blog posts or whatever has got a big share in something, because it just rockets up or whatever. So if you can do that, please do. If you would like to help me out financially, then you can go to tommykelly.com, and that'll bring you to my Patreon. And there's lots of stuff going on the Patreon. We do weekly rituals. We have monthly stuff going on called The Journey. All my comics are there. This all depends what tier you join in on. The 47 Grimoires, there's PDF. You can download the digital deck. You get the podcast ahead of everyone else. You get to see all the photography stuff ahead of everyone else, all the art stuff. There's loads of stuff going on there. There's videos just for patrons, all that thing. Check it out. I think there's 300 posts or something on Patreon right now, something like that you will have instant access to. Again, depending on what tier you go on. And that's kind of it. Trying to cut down on the waffle at the end of these podcasts a bit, or come in some better way. I'm thinking about having some sort of new format as well for this, and maybe segregating the podcast into a season 1, season 2 thing. But I did that with the vlog, and I had season 1, and then season 2 it was 5 episodes of the vlog, and then I kind of let it go. So I don't know, it can kind of kill things as well. But we'll see. When I get the new artwork done for the podcast, it might inspire me to do something. I might get new music in or something like that. Although I hate when podcasts bring in new music. The reason why I want to bring in new music is the music that I use here is like from the royalty-free kind of music as well, so it's not mine. So I would like all my creations to be all just mine, so I might add in some of my own music. Originally, it was my music that was at the very first podcast has mine, so I might go back. We'll see. Anyway, rambling here. So Adventures in Woo Woo is basically the website. That's where everything is. You'll find all the stuff there, the 47s, the 4 Devils, the links to YouTube. There's the 47s video course. Check me out on Facebook, Tommy Kelly Artist. Adventures in Woo Woo's on Facebook. I'm on Twitter at Tommy Kelly. I'm on Instagram at Tommy Kelly. There's a Facebook group. There's all of those things. But if you go to adventuresinwoowoo.com, you'll find all those links. So feel free to email me, talk to me. I'm quite friendly and open. I like discussing and talking to people about things. Send me your feedback. Tell me what you like me to talk about, or where you think I'm talking out of my ass, or what I need to learn, or whatever it is. I enjoy discussing with people and stuff like that. The only thing I'll answer anyone unless you're nasty, and then it depends what mood I'm in, whether I will or not. So that's it. So good people of the internet, may all your questions be answered. May whatever you wonder about this week, may you get your answer, and may the universe in some way give you answers to questions that you didn't even know you had, that leads to some sort of insightful incident that brings you closer to the things you want and further away from the things you don't want. So good people of the internet, be well.